Victim coming out, victim coming out.
The fire ground is dynamic. Priorities can change by the second. This series is about our first priority, life priority. We'll hear from the firefighters that have made a grab in live fire conditions, the decisions they made and the lessons they learned. Listen as they tell you about their experience, learn from their mistakes and their successes. Expect fire and expect victims. Expect the unexpected and plan accordingly. This is Life Priority.
So about a month ago, Smith and I were on Rescue 21, and around 2 a.m. we got a call for a residential structure fire in 28's First Due, right on the edge of Orangeville and Citrus Heights. We were responding on Rescue 21, arrived pretty much simultaneously with Engine 28.
As we were pulling up, the garage was open and the front door was open and all the lights were on. And as we're pulling up, there's a gentleman who's standing out front with a can just pointing upstairs. And everything kind of looks like it's not really anything super significant going on. But as I'm looking up, there's a window, which is the window to a bedroom, which is going to be on the alpha side just above the garage. That was smoke stained. I told my skipper that I was just gonna stretch dry up to there, and if we needed it, we needed it, but my thought process was that I'd rather have it than not needed it than the latter.
Our crew split. Captain and saw fireman to the roof, and me and Smith went inside to help with search.
With what we were seeing from the exterior, Captain Flint had pointed out that the second floor window was smoke stained, but we didn't have any production from the eaves.
Yeah, I gotta take that window real quick.
Oh, I got it.
You got it?
Engine 27 staged. Ready for water.
Didn't really look like there was any extension anywhere else in the house. So once we made it inside and made it to that bedroom door, we kind of did like an all stop, waited for water in the line. I radioed out to Captain Flint and had him take the exterior window and relieve that smoke so that we weren't releasing it into the house.
Take it, quick, take it.
Let's take you.
Take it, take it.
All bedroom explicit stations, no signs of extension at this time. We're making entry.
And as I'm setting my hose up, I'm looking at the door's locked. I've noticed that it's smoke stained and it's looking like something had been cooking on that, the other side of that door for a while. So we had charged it, masked up, got ready to make entry.
When we made that decision, he took the window and we thought we would just push right in the doorway. But once we went to try to open the door, we noticed it was barricaded, and that was kind of our first heads up that there might be someone inside. So we had to break and remove the door outward into the hallway and remove the barricade, and that's when the radio report came across that there might be someone inside.
So crews were getting bottlenecked basically on the top of the stairwell. And when we did arrive, there was an older gentleman on scene who didn't give us any intel except basically that there was a fire on the second story. Didn't tell us if there was a possible victim, if there were other people in there. So we basically just went to work as usual, and we're going to be aggressive to put the fire out and do a primary search. There were also some other things that were kind of different about this fire. As we went inside the house, there was like a smell of Raid, and our eyes kind of started watering, which made us more alert to this isn't your ordinary, room and contents fire. The lady had barricaded herself in her room, right? And apparently she had told her dad that she was trying to commit suicide. She had a little light in the closet. The closet was bare. She had a couple water bottles. She had a bunch of matches attached to her arm and also a knife attached to her arm. Engineer outside got intel from the gentleman that his daughter was in that room and barricaded in that room, and that the gentleman thought that she was deceased in there. That was quickly relayed to on the radio to us, and we knew that we needed to push in there as fast as possible to perform a primary search. Timing worked out actually really well, coordinating ventilation with fire attack. As rescue captain Flint took the window, basically we were able to breach through that door, put some water on the fire. It was a room and contents fire, not that much fire production, but there's definitely smoke down to the floor, zero visibility, and not a lot of heat.
Yeah, zero visibility, but there was still active fire on the headboard and the bed, but it wasn't like fire behavior like you had to get low. Or she had been burning, like Casey said, the Raid smell. She had been just burning cans of Raid, and so it wasn't black like you would normally see from like a mattress fire or something like that. It was like thick gray, like an off gray hue smoke, and it wasn't just going out the window. It was cold smoke. So Flint had taken the window, and it still wasn't going all out the window. He eventually cut a hole, and we weren't getting a lot of lift out of the hole. And so it made it difficult to, like anyone who's done a search in cold smoke, it was difficult to find her still.
So I found this later, she had taken all the clothes out of her closet and her drawers, and basically they were scattered all over the room. The bed itself, which was where we thought she was going to be pushing in, was covered with some debris, and that was where a lot of the fire was, were the things burning on top of the bed. I think there was 4 of us that pushed into that room. All we were doing a search, but it was tough because it was tight quarters, and like I said, there was clothes, a dresser, just kind of debris and weird things everywhere.
So Casey went left and Smith went straight to the far sides of the room, and I just happened to step forward but not over this huge clump of clothes. And as I stepped forward, I kind of felt this resistance that was different than the rest of this huge pile of clothes. And then that was at about the same time where me, Casey, and Smith had located this gal.
I pushed in and noticed that guys were checking on different sides of the bed and things like that. So I went to the foot of the bed and got on my hands and knees and started crawling and sifting through all the clothes and debris. She was located near the foot of the bed, almost halfway in the closet. And originally when I first felt her, I thought she was a pile of clothes. But as I was moving those clothes around, I noticed that this pile of clothes wasn't moving. And I've heard from guys previously who have located victims in fires and found victims in fires that they don't really feel like humans basically in the fire. Feels like a roll of carpet or some clothes that are heavy. So I touched that, it didn't move. So I went closer, was on my belly, put my face right next to her, my mask right next to her, and was able to identify it as the victim. So I yelled, victim, victim, victim.
Okay, command, bring the fire. Medic 21, come in. Medic 21, here. Coming out. Okay, I copy. You got a victim coming out the opposite side.
Command, rescue 21.
Go ahead, rescue.
Vertical vent complete. Attic looks clear.
I copy. Break engine 27. Engine 29, command might have you assist with patient here on the outside.
Smith was right there. I was able to get behind her and basically grab her from behind, and he grabbed her legs. And right then, the engine captain was behind us. He got on the radio saying that victims would be coming out the Alpha front door. We took her out to the hallway. She was coming down head first. We needed to go downstairs. So we pivoted around and brought her down the stairs feet first. I could feel that she was breathing. It sounded agonal to me. And so I knew that she could possibly survive. We took her down. Engine crew that was basically arriving on scene helped grab the ambulance outside when they heard the victim. They went to the ambulance, helped grab the gurney, brought the gurney up, basically right when we brought her outside, and we were able to put her on the gurney and then transport her.
I think ultimately what found her fast was just that we filled the space very quickly. I went to one side of the bed, another, I believe it was Austin Thiel, went to the other side of the bed. Casey was at the foot of the bed. The nozzleman was inside, knocked down a little bit of fire on the headboard, set his hose down. He was helping dig through clothes. Like Casey had said, she took everything in that room and basically piled it all around the edges of the bed. And so there was just so much stuff to dig through. Having to do it by yourself or even just us on team 2, it would have taken a lot more time. So I think just having the people fill that space once there's a report of a victim, and then being, like he said, our search position, being low and actually crawling through and feeling those clothes with your hands, not just like sweeping a tool or things like that. There's no way with clothes piled this high and then her level with that, if you were just sweeping a tool, that I don't think you would have seen her. And we had a tick in the room also, and we didn't see her on the tick.
We did not utilize a tick. I did not utilize a tick. I know a captain was there with one, but in a small room like that, we were better off and more efficient and more thorough, knowing that we had a known victim in there. Getting on our hands and knees, getting low, and physically touching the things we were searching. Like I said, she did not feel like a body to me, but from hearing other people's previous experiences, it allowed me to take a second take and be like, this isn't right. Like, there's a victim right here. A couple other things that I thought went well were there was, obviously it got reported as a structure fire, but there wasn't smoke showing. There wasn't a column or anything like that, but all of us got off the rig with a sense of urgency. I think that set the whole tone for a successful outcome. From my knowledge and what kind of got followed up back to me is that she made a full recovery. We have been emphasizing a lot at our station at 21, specifically is search. And when we find a victim, we've been working on just saying victim, victim, victim. It worked that we had 3 or 4 guys in there because I knew there was a captain right at the doorway who was available on the radio to get that out and get the medic and the gurney ready to receive the victim. So I just yelled victim, victim, victim. I knew that Smith was in there with me, and I knew he knew exactly what that meant. The captain was able to radio that out while we all went to work. So I was able to get low, grab the victim, get some leverage on her, and he was able to grab her legs, which really helped us get her out of the room.
If I could go back and do the fire again, I think, we're also trying to do property conservation. We have a family member outside who's not reporting anyone inside. She had stuffed towels under the door, and so there was no production from that door. And with just the smoke-stained window outside, our intent was to keep as much of that out of the house as we could. But I guess, not having a primary done, we need to assume that someone is in that room. So I guess just something to think about when you're choosing your tactics. We didn't waste a whole lot of time, but if we could go back, I think a little bit of smoke coming into that hallway that we can blow out with a fan, we'd probably just take that door sooner. It made it easier not having that high heat, obviously. We didn't have to worry about really keeping her low. There's no inversion layer, so he was able to scoop up under her arms and carry her high, and which made it easy for me to get under the legs and just help him. We didn't even really have to have a conversation when I saw the way he was picking her up. It just was obvious that just try to take some of the weight and get moving. Like Casey was saying, Captain Scholar did a good job from the second we made the radio communication to Captain Flint to take the outside window. he was given orders on who's going to take the door, who's going to wait outside, who's going to start inside. And I think that really organized everyone, so it wasn't just chaos getting through all that barricade. And then had the discipline to let us get in there and start that. And then he followed us in, and like Casey said, he was right there to make the radio traffic for us, so we didn't have to do any of it. So I think everyone who was there was really doing their role well.
I think one of the biggest things and takeaways I got from that call were how important it is to use as many of your senses, especially your hands, to do a thorough search. I know that if I was just walking around, I probably would have just walked right over her because she felt like a pile of clothes. So getting my hands down and dirty and moving clothes around and actually touching the surfaces that I was searching helped me do a more thorough search, and I'm going to take that away in the future. So
kind of tossing up afterwards about, well, you know, could that have been a can job or what have you? But I mean, it was a pretty straightforward stretch, and I figured I'll just stretch dry, and then I'd rather have the potential to use a tank line than just be fixed with my 2.5 gallons of water. I think from all aspects, we gave that victim the highest and fastest chance of being rescued and surviving.
I ran right past the gentleman who was the reporting party in the front yard. I stopped for a quick second. He said there's a fire up in the bedroom. I said, okay. I had just assumed that if he had a family member inside, he would lead with that. So if I run past someone again, I'm going to ask him, hey, is there anyone inside? You know, which bedroom are they in? More follow-up questions, which usually, I guess, people normally cue us to answer those questions by telling us someone's inside or saying something to lead us believe they were inside. But he stood in the front yard while crew after crew walked past him and never said anything until well into the incident. So just because no one's saying something doesn't mean you shouldn't ask them.
Fire service is about tradition. One of our traditions is about passing on our experiences and our lessons learned. When we do this, the story doesn't focus on the individual, but the team and the outcome. These lessons are shared so that you can better serve the public and your fellow firefighters. If you have a rescue and you're hesitant to tell your story, remember, the lessons you share may help save someone else's life or your own. Share your story by contacting us at lifepriority@metrofire.ca.gov.